In this exercise, we'll be adding a background image to our web page, and I'm going to show you how to add a background image that has a little movement. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. This is a .gif file. I love to call it GIF. I know you're supposed to call it GIF. We could argue all day. Regardless, these flames are from the fireplace that I'm super happy to have in my house. You can find them on the book wiki in the folder for chapter 6. You can find them in 6.2 and 6.3 because they're used in both places, inside assets and then image and then the flames file there. We will start by downloading that file. You can just press the download raw file if you like. That will go to wherever your downloads go. Mine go to my downloads folder on my hard drive. And once you have the image, then we're ready to work with the code. So you should have a code space up for chapter 6 and running, and you should have a haiku. Maybe you're working with the one from the book, or maybe you wrote your own. But at this point, we are looking inside the style sheet, and this is where we would like to add our image. So in order to have the image kind of take over the page, we'll be adding it to the body tag inside your CSS file. So your body should say your body tag selector inside your CSS file. In order to add the flames to your page, you need to do two things. One is you have to actually upload the file. So I would like to see that file here in the image folder. And then you need to point to it in your code. So the easiest way, I think, to add a file to my repo is right here in codespaces. So I'm going to take that flames.gif file and drag it from my downloads folder, which is on my hard drive, right there to that image folder inside codespaces. And so you can see now this file is here. It's included. You can also see that I have made a change that has not yet been committed or pushed to my repo. So right now, this file exists in my code space, which is like my testing playground. It's not in my actual repo, so it would not show up in my live server until I commit my changes. So just keep that in mind. But I can work with it here as I'm working through the exercise. So now that the flames file is there, I'm ready to add it to the page in my code. I'll add the flames right here inside the body selector. I'll use background as the property. And then for the value, I'm going to add it as basically a URL where I'm pointing to the file that I just stuck inside my folder, which is called img, which is inside another folder, which is called assets. Now remember that I'm pointing to this file from here. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. I'm inside assets, img, and I want to go to flames.gif or GIF. Here, styles is inside CSS and inside assets. So my URL needs to go kind of like back out, and so that I can get out of that CSS folder and then into img and then into the file itself. So notice that I had a little bit of code hints there that popped up once I just kind of started to push this in the right direction. So a semicolon will kind of end that declaration. My property is background. My value is this URL. The URL is a live URL. It's on my server. Well, it will be in a moment when I push changes. And I can take a look at what's happening so far. Now, this is not the end result by any means, but we can see so far. I'll go over to my index page and just take a view of this on live server. All right, that's a lot of flames. So I'm showing you this on purpose so you can see when you put an image into the body selector as a background, it will tile. That's the default. It automatically tiles over and over and over again unless you tell it not to do that. So let's take a look at our style sheet again. We can add a few more properties and values here to better control how that image appears. So the first thing is we might want to tell it background repeat, and we'll set that to no repeat. And then we'll tell it background position, and we'll tell it to be in the center. This time we'll do background size, and we'll set it to cover. Okay, let's take a look at it now, and we'll see what our flames look like with the size set to cover. This is starting to be a little bit better. It is one image that's kind of occupying the browser, but it's only occupying the browser seemingly kind of left to right. Or I could say it's not taking up the complete vertical space. And what's happening here is CSS is covering what it understands as kind of all of the content in the HTML document with this image. It doesn't understand that you want the image to cover the whole browser. It thinks you want it to cover just where all the content is. So we're going to kind of force it to cover everything by adding one more declaration block here. Up here before body, we'll ask it to understand that the width and the height should take up 100% of the space. And with that one minor change, we now should have the fire and the flames taking up all of the browser window.